This man talks about how he broke up with his girlfriend while she was getting ready for the Miss America pageant.
One sign that your husband does not like you is if he's always walking in front of you.
At the age of 54 and 2 divorces later.
Woo, woo! Hey, y'all! Oh my gosh, I'm so happy to be back. Sorry, y'all, I just took a hiatus. But I'm back, I guess. I don't know, it depends on how I feel. You guys, so much has transpired, but without getting you in my business, hello, welcome back. And if you are returning, hello again. We learn or we teach life lessons over here, you know? I don't know it all, even though I claim to know it all. Anyway, hey, if you like what you hear, subscribe, join me. I have to take a deep breath because what inspired this video today was a conversation I had with somebody I care about. I need you guys, men, especially men, come to the front. And this is not a male bashing channel. I don't get into all that. But I do believe the person that you lay down with or you give your energy to basically has a say so in your life. Some things that are happening in your life is because of the people in your surrounding. This is major. As far as you getting money, losing weight, where you live, what you eat, your kids. She was telling me it started basically with, she said, he's my biggest hater. Stay to the end if you want to hear the whole story. But let's get into it.
So I was sent a video of a man being interviewed on a podcast. And truthfully, I'm sure I can stop right there. And you already know where this is going. But this man talks about how he broke up with his girlfriend while she was getting ready for the Miss America pageant. He goes on to say that she was throwing up and that she was crying on the floor in front of him. And he says the reason why he did it was because he was trying to be a good guy. And he said eventually, she went on a cruise and she met this guy that was one of the most handsome men that he's ever seen. The man was like some big athlete. And he was like, so she went on to be happy. She ended up marrying that man 5 years later. And he was like, that guy, her meeting that guy was just enough to peel her away from me. The hubris, the self-aggrandizing of this man was nauseating. To find a way to position himself as a hero in a story where he is clearly the villain is just beyond me. You broke up with this woman while she's getting ready for the Miss America pageant, and somehow you're the victim? The reason why I'm making this video is because you got to be careful, ladies, because sometimes you could be sleeping with the enemy. Sometimes your biggest hater is the man that's sharing your bed. Some men cannot stand to see you celebrated, cannot stand the idea of you achieving some level of success that eclipses where they are in life. Because he goes on in his story to talk about how he wasn't where he wanted to be in life, but years later he started a business and everything like that. But he's like, I'm glad I let her go because she was able to find happiness. No thanks to you. The people who break up with you the day before your final, always want to start a fight with you on or near your birthday, on or near the day that you are trying out for some big job or going to an interview. Some people cannot stand the idea of the spotlight being on you, and they will sabotage your success. I'm going to need him to stop telling that story and to stop telling it in a way that makes himself feel better. You broke up with her when she was at her peak. Because whatever he broke up with her for, I'm sure it was probably an issue weeks ago or months ago. But no, you saw that moment, and the pettiness in you made you say, nah, this is the time I want to do it right now. Right when she's like her happiest. Some men love to see you knock down a couple of pegs. You don't want your hater to be your own man. If he can't stand celebrating you, if he can't stand when the spotlight's on you, if he can't stand the fact that you seem to be elevating at a faster or higher pace than him, you need to beware of that guy because he will sabotage your success. Some men are with you, but they don't really like you. Not like you like that because they cannot stand to wish you well. Beware of men who cannot stand to see you celebrated.
Your man hates you in real life. This man always is quiet. Every time you succeed, every time you win it, he quiet. All right? This man can't stand you. All right? You constantly get doing everything for this man. This is the only reason why he around you. You got something that you pour into him every time. When that thing stops pouring, he's gone. Gone, on to the next person, on to the next lady that he could try to deceive. All right? This man hates you in real life, sis. He never talks about you to family. You've probably never even met his family. You probably don't even know anything about him. All what you know is he's a good man, Savannah. No, he ain't. No, he ain't. All right? He's not a good man. All right? You listen, when a man really loves you, and he's not on that hater mode life, when a man really loves you, he pours into you constantly. All right? He makes sure, he protects, he provides. He gives you clarity. You never got to question this man. And you constantly have to question, you constantly crying like this man is an onion. Be for real. Repost this video, y'all. Follow this page, save this video, and I need y'all to comment y'all thoughts on this.
One sign that your husband does not like you is if he's always walking in front of you. Hear me out. When I was pregnant with our fourth baby, our last one, I was about 8 months pregnant, maybe even 9, and we had gone to a work event of my husband at the time. And when we pulled up, we had to, because it was so crowded, we had to park like across a busy street, and the venue was on the other side. And he gets out of the car and he proceeds to start walking across the busy street, not going to the crosswalk, not waiting to see if I got out of the car. We were running a little bit late, so I can understand he was in a rush. No, I just made an excuse for him. I don't know why I did that. That was so foolish of me, because I don't care that we were running late. I was 8 or 9 months pregnant. I needed help getting out of the car. I needed someone to hold my hand as we walked across the street. I couldn't walk as fast as him. In fact, I wasn't even walking at all. I was waddling, if you know what I mean. And I needed someone to guide me across this busy intersection and not leave me on the other side of the street while he ran across. And that, my friends, is what happened. That was sign number like 5,682 that I should have left.
Let me tell you something. I have so many women clients who are in relationships with men that hate them, whether in relationships or married or whatever it is. I had a male client one time that would only refer to his girlfriend as old girl, would never call her by her actual name, never had anything nice to say about her, complained about her all the time, and wanted to marry her. And I literally had to be like, are you sure you want to get married to this person? It was crazy. Y'all would be shocked at the number of women who are in relationships with men that cannot stand them, with men that are intentionally going out of their way to make their lives harder. And eventually that turns into some form of abuse. And this is why, as a therapist, I can't be beating around the bush. Like, I can't be passive about the way I describe things. This is exactly why therapists have to call a spade a spade. That's gaslighting. That's abuse. That's manipulation. Do you know that this is toxic and unhealthy and unfair to you? Like, as therapists, we have to call things for what they are for the sake of our clients, because most of the time they are just lost in the sauce. Something I also have to work with these clients on a lot is empowering them to make the decisions that are best for them as it relates to their relationship, rather than waiting for their partners to show up as versions of themselves that they have never been. That man has never been nice to you. What makes you think that he's going to wake up one day and be nice to you? That man has never been considerate. What makes you think he's going to wake up one day and be considerate? And really encouraging my clients to free themselves rather than waiting for their partners to just up and leave them. I talk to so many women who are like, well, if he doesn't like me, then why is he with me? That's not the point, babe. That's not the point. There are a lot of perks to being with you, even if he hates you. The point is that you know exactly what's happening here, and you have to make the decision to free yourself. It's real sad out here, but free the girls now and forever.
At the age of 54 and 2 divorces later, let me give you the marriage advice I wish that I had listened to. Love is not enough. Marry for character, not just chemistry. You're not just marrying them, you're marrying their habits, their debt, and their family drama. Marriage will never fix loneliness. The wrong person will make it worse. You can't marry potential. You're not a life coach. You're a spouse. Being alone is way better than wishing you were. The right person will make you feel safe. The wrong one will make you feel small. We'll figure it out is not a financial plan. Some people don't want love. They want control. Learn the difference. You should be excited to marry them, not just relieved that they finally committed. Be prepared to marry the whole family. Period. Hope that helps.
Hey y'all, hey. It's been a little minute since I posted an update on what's been going on in my personal life, and I am going to do that under a separate video. But I've just had this nagging, reoccurring thought because of some of the work that I've been doing personally around, therapy-wise, but also just working through things with my sister's kids. And I felt like I would come on here and share it so that hopefully it can be a testimony for somebody. So let's get into it. What I want to talk about are the red flags for when your spouse is jealous of you, dislikes you, or just flat out hates you. Because the more I've had a chance to sit and reflect on what was going on with my sister, the fights that she had with her husband before everything happened, and just looking back on the relationship that they had and the things that she made excuses for and really tried to give him the benefit of the doubt on. Of course, now hindsight is 20/20, but it just has become more blaringly obvious to me now than it ever was in my life before, just how much of a effing hater he was and how much he was really jealous of my sister. And if I'm being completely honest, I feel like he at a deep level might have one day or at one point thought he loved her, but he definitely did not like her. And I'm going to go into more detail. I'm going to make some videos in the next couple weeks about what happened to my sister specifically, because I keep getting a lot of questions and I think people are still making assumptions about how her life ended. But I kind of wanted to get into this because I feel like a lot of times as women, these are the biggest red flags that we disregard, is because somebody tells us that they love us or they love bomb us, because I've been guilty of this before, thankfully, before I met my husband and we got together. But a lot of times we want to be loved, and we come out of bad relationships looking for something to just be different. And it leaves us susceptible to men coming in and knowing that at a minimum, all they have to do is be different, and it's enough to absolve them of all of their bad qualities to an extent. It's enough to get them through that initial barrier of, what's the word I'm looking for? That initial of cautiousness that we have because of the things we've been through. So a lot of times I think men come in and love bomb. They come in and they say the right things. They come in and ask why your last relationship didn't work out. And then they try really hard just to be the opposite of that so that they can kind of get their hooks into you, for lack of a better word. I'll give you an example. My sister had 2 children from a previous relationship. And I think early on she had shared, that she wasn't looking for a relationship because of how some things had gone with those 2. And I think sharing that allowed her husband, because again, we don't call that man my brother-in-law, it allowed him to come in and say, if I'm just not that, then it'll be fine. And by that, I meant he came in and paid the bills. He came in and wanted to prove that he was a provider. He came in and wanted to prove that he was financially sound and secure. But essentially what that did in saying certain things, like telling my sister that she didn't have to work while she was pregnant, she could stay home and just be in her soft mom era, that essentially made her financially dependent on him. And once he knew she was financially dependent on him, that was the only upper hand he had. Because I think anyone who knew my sister and knew her husband knew that even though on paper he tried to pretend, he was not as charismatic as her, he was not as likable as her, he was not as smart as her. And so anytime people came around and had those compliments of my sister, he took them as a criticism of him. I remember my sister would hold an event or host something at her house, a holiday, and my sister was such a magnetic person that even when we had women that came over with their husbands would rather sit around in the kitchen and have conversations with us and play cards and talk and socialize than go into the basement or the garage with him. And I think that started happening enough that people would go and hang out with him, but eventually would get bored and want to come and be in the kitchen where my sister was cooking and hosting and entertaining. And really the women were just kind of sitting around talking, and we would have such deep, in-depth conversations that I think he started to resent her for the fact that people would rather be around her than around him. And that was kind of the beginning of the end when it comes to not liking her. It was to the point to where we started joking and saying that he was a contrarian, because if my sister said she wanted steak, he had to say that he'd rather have chicken. If my sister said she wanted to go out for an anniversary, he would say, I'm a better cook, let's just stay in and cook at home. And to keep the peace, my sister would go with it. She would not go against it. She would not push back. She would complain to me, but she would not complain to him. And I think, to me, in the back of my mind, I started thinking to myself, well, dang, he never wants to do any of the things that she wants to do. Even when my sister got promotions at work, even when she won awards for being like the highest grossing realtor in her company in the course of 6 months or a year, he would pick a fight. And it was always a last minute argument. If we were supposed to go out and have girls' night and do something to where it was just going to be us, he would find a way to pick a fight, pick an argument, even when he was on the road, and it was always the same thing. You just don't want to talk to me. It even got to the point eventually to where if she told him she was going out with me, meeting me for lunch, we were going to do a work thing, he would call her repeatedly, and if she didn't answer, he would start to video call her, because he almost wanted to make sure that she was where she said she was. And to me, looking at the time, it was annoying, but that was that. Looking back on it, it's like you can't possibly love or like a person when all you want to do is destroy any meaningful moment that celebrates them. If you are with someone who is picking a fight before every birthday, before every award ceremony, before anything that celebrates you or is important to you, if they are late every single time you make a dinner reservation or you get movie tickets to see something that you really wanted to see, they hate you. They don't like you. And I wish more than anything that I could go back in time with the knowledge that I have now and bring that to my sister's attention. But the patriarchy, or whatever you want to call it, Christian values, really indoctrinated my sister and myself in past relationships to thinking that if you speak up and say something, if you say, you know what, clearly this person doesn't like me, clearly this marriage is not working, that you're a quitter. And so all of that has been on my mind, but I say that to say this. If you are with a partner and you have even the smallest inkling that they love you, but they don't like you, run. Run. That is a character flaw. You should never have to convince somebody who has put a ring on your finger, somebody that claims to love you, someone that you have given a child to like you. If they don't want to talk to you unless it's about them, if they only want to talk to you when it's a night that you're supposed to have a night off from being a mom, a wife, anything to them, they don't like you. And it pisses me off that my sister's last days were spent married to somebody that did not like her. That's it.
Ladies, that man is jealous of you. That man you laying down with, he jealous of you. That's why he won't help you. That's why he don't support you. But he ain't gonna leave you alone. He gonna keep breadcrumbing you to keep you around because he needs your energy. He needs your energy to pursue his dreams. See, he trying to use you till he get the wet. He trying to go, then he gonna leave you alone. Don't be a fool, baby. Don't spend all your good years supporting that man because he don't like you. He jealous of you. He jealous of the way people love you. He jealous of your light. And he know you deserve better. And he know that he don't have that drive and that power like you have to push through on his own dreams. So he gonna try to keep you around, but he jealous of you. He jealous of your light. So be cautious with these men. They be your biggest haters. They be the same ones that tell you, I love you, baby, I'll never do it again. But trying to do everything to break your character, to break you. Because he jealous of you and he really don't like you. And he want to be you.
I always tell my friends to find out if that man that you talk to really like you and really see a future with you. Do these couple of things and it'll tell you how he really feel about you every single time. When I tell you, this method does not lie. First thing to do is Come to that man with an issue. Come to that man with an issue and see what his response is. And I just don't mean like no dumb issue, but I just mean like some real stuff and see how he responds. If you come to a man and you talking to him and you like, oh my God, like, I'm just so stressed out. And he like, what happened? You like, on my way to work, my tire blew out. And I'm just so stressed. Like, I had to have AAA come put a donut on, my spare tire on, and I need a new tire now. If that man response isn't to jump in and say, hey, my homie has a tire shop, take your car around there, or how about I'll meet you at your job and I'll get your car and you drive my car and we'll drive over to his shop and I'll get you a new tire. Or if it isn't, okay, well, how about I'll have somebody come pick up your car and they'll take it to a tire shop and get a new tire. If it isn't something like that, that man really don't like you. If he say, damn, that's crazy, what you gonna do? That man don't like you. That response is definitely of a man that's just wasting your time. He does not see a future with you at all. Because it's naturally in a man to be a problem solver or just like to come to your aid and save the day or whatever. It's just naturally in a man to do that. So if he don't do that and he's sitting there waiting for you to figure it out for yourself, you got the wrong one. Move on. This is your notice. Move on. Because if he already don't see you as valuable to do that, it's not going to change in the future. Like, it's not going to change one bit. So cut your losses, move on. Another example, if he calls you and you're like, hi, he's like, what's wrong? You're like, I'm sick. If that man is like, oh, wow, what's wrong with you? Oh, okay. Damn. All right, I'll talk to you later. No, he didn't offer to have someone drop off some medicine for you or him drop the medicine off or bring you some soup or something to make you feel better. Like, no, I just could not imagine dealing with somebody that really don't care about me enough to bring me something when I say I don't feel good. So those are a couple of ways that I really gauge to see how bad you like me, because they will tell you they like you. Whole time they just wasting your time.
I know y'all didn't ask me, but the way that I found my husband was to stop taking advice online. And I just want to talk about this a little bit because the advice that the women are giving online about the men that they're talking about, they're not talking about the husband type of men. When you see a post or a rant or women talking about men who do this and they're giving all this advice, most of the time they're talking about men who will never, ever, ever marry anybody. Coffee date this, expensive date that, 50-50, splitting bills. Those are not husbands. I mean, there are full-on podcasts about men that will never, ever marry anyone. And then furthermore, I see a lot of advice about your boyfriend, your man, your this, your that. When you find you a husband, he's not even going to be your boyfriend. Just hear me out. And I know y'all think y'all need to get to know somebody for a long time. The man needs to get to know you. You need to be engaged for a long time. But those men are boyfriends. That's just what they are. They're boyfriends. They will shack up with you. They will date you. They will do a whole bunch of stuff. They will do everything but marry you. You will go through so many storms with those men because that's what it is. It's just a big storm. It's never meant to be a marriage. A husband is a different type of man. None of that advice that is given on podcasts and through leveling up content and stuff is going to apply to that man. None of the conversations that y'all have are going to be the conversations that people are having on social media that are going through toxic situations. He's going to already know to provide. He's going to already know what he needs to do in a relationship. He's going to already know what he wants. Y'all are going to jump right into planning y'all lives together and combining y'all lives together. Now, will he be perfect? No. But the gag is, neither are you. And it's like, the more you take advice from people online about dating and what restaurant to go to, and if a man do this and if a man do that, you're going to date men that type of advice applies to. You're going to have to know all of those manipulation tactics and when to call back and when to text back and when to chase and when not to chase. You only need those stupid lessons when you're in a stupid situation. That advice does not apply to a God-sent marriage. Example, the money conversation. Everybody talks about money. And for a long time, I consumed a lot of content because I was a single mom that was all about finding a provider man. Well, when I met my now husband, we never really had none of those conversations. He just came in the picture and just took care of everything. I mean, this man put me on his car insurance, even down to making sure I had Norton security on my phone and on my computer. Matter of fact, my computer was going too slow, so he bought me a new computer. Everything he did was about making my life better. There was no discussion, no debate, no planning, none of that. He just automatically did it. Now, I'm not going to pretend like we don't have disagreements, because we have disagreements, but most of the time they're about stupid things. They're never about any of the things that I was consuming when I was single. Even when you see women talking about men that hate women and men that hate their wives, that stuff does not apply to real men who want to be married, who love you. And not to mention, if you find a God-fearing man, your marriage will be about Christ, and he will understand that. Even if he's not wealthy, 6 figures, 7 figures, he will find a way to take care of you. If I can give any advice, my advice would just be like to get away from any advice that looks like advice. And I know that I'm on here giving advice, but sis, hear me out. A lot of those women that are giving advice, and men, they have been through so many toxic situations that they think that they are the be-all, go-to person for relationships. And I used to be like that too. Like, once you've been through so many toxic things, you think you can teach people how to avoid toxicity. So what that teaches people to do is to go around and look at toxic traits in people and date men that are probably toxic and try to solve some mystery of why they're doing certain things and check off a box of whether they're toxic or not. I never once thought my husband was toxic. Nothing about him was ever toxic. He never not answered my calls. He never took forever to call me back. In fact, I remember in the first week or so where we were talking, he had AT&T and he was having like a service issue for like an hour. And this man went on Facebook, sent me a message and let me know that he was talking to AT&T and he was getting bad service. And if I didn't hear from him, it was because his service was bad, because that's how clear he was in how much he communicated and how much he reassured me and didn't want me to worry. Hadn't even noticed that his phone wasn't really working. And through our marriage, he has continued to be that person. He over communicates, he reassures me, he just does things that make sense. And it's not that complicated. Like, it's really not that complicated. Normal people do normal things. If you're down a rabbit hole of content about a man that you like, he is not your husband. I have not went to the internet not one time to type in or look at or watch or figure out anything about my husband. It wasn't necessary. Plus, we both went to God about every decision that we made. And lastly, my husband never expected me to bring anything to the table. I'm laying in my bed right now making this TikTok, and he does not care. He's working his butt off, and he's not tripping, and he'll come in, clean up, cook, and do whatever he needs to do because he is the head of our household. Even though I'm ambitious, if I talk about things that I want to do, that doesn't change who he is as a man. He still does what he needs to do as a husband. And I brought 2 kids with me to the marriage. So all of the, you're older, you have kids, all that stuff is a lie. What you're probably doing consuming that content is just trying to validate your experience because someone hurt you, and it feels good to see women talk about men like him so you can be like, see, I knew I wasn't crazy. But you don't need to put any more energy into men that aren't what you need. You don't need to validate that experience. You don't need people to confirm that you were right about the guy that was a F-boy that was never going to marry you or never going to do anything. And besides, consuming a lot of content can actually hurt your journey because I almost thought my husband was love bombing me at first. Well, he's just a genuinely good person. So log off. Maybe even don't worry about what I'm saying. But my point is not the answer is to your husband. Finding your husband is not online. The answer is probably through God, your own healing, and trusting yourself. Do with that what you will.
Look. This will record for 2 hours if you left it up to me. And the worst part about it is not how the men treated me, but how I let it happen. Ooh, Lord, I have to do a separate video on my son's father. But anyway, having a conversation with this person right here, it's just weird. We've met one time in 5 years. So what is that? An associate business person? We're a lot alike. Like, she sits in the house. She doesn't really go nowhere. She goes and gets her hair done. Now that she has kids, they didn't have a wedding when they got married. I don't even know if they celebrate birthdays. If she bought him a jacket, it might have been from Goodwill. They're very, I don't know. So I'm talking to her. Let me see if I can get this verbatim. So we're having a conversation, and she was debating on whether she wanted to tell her husband about, again, I say husband more than I've never heard her say husband. Anyway, mind your business, girl. So we were talking about, she didn't want to know, she didn't know if she wanted to tell him about another job that she was getting. And because this will be her third transition in 3 months. Welcome to motherhood. Okay? Welcome to being a mother. She's a new mom. So with twins. So that schedule will be scheduling. She can't be getting home at 7 o'clock at night, leaving at 5. That's no time with your babies. Because that small, they're asleep. So anyway, I was like, why? Why wouldn't you want to tell him? Because they always argue, and he's negative towards her. This is coming from her. I've never met the dude. So basically, she's talking to him, and no, this is what she said. She was like, I don't know if I want to tell him. And I was like, girl, tell him. You know what? You have to, with men, you have to kind of, he probably wants to be involved. He wants to know what's going on. But the way you do it, maybe, word it in a different way. Hey, babe, what do you think? Sometimes men just have to have that control. You take that away from them, you're taking away their masculinity. Whole nother subject, right? So you know what she says to me? I said, just word it to him. Hey, babe, I've got this other job opportunity. What do you think? Even if you don't listen to what he says. She said, girl, you just don't understand. He's my biggest hater. And I'm sitting here like, she was like, he like with real estate, he was telling me I couldn't do it, blah, blah, blah. Mind you, he's licensed too. Never sold a house, I don't think, to anybody. And she was like, well, he was talking about I couldn't do it. And I was like, he doesn't want you to make more money than him. That's his culture. That the men, he literally wants you barefoot and pregnant at home cooking dinner. So you're taking him, he's out of his culture, even though he's dating your black ass, okay? Because I think he's Asian or something. I don't know. So he's already going outside of what they want him to do. And so now, he wants to feel like, I don't know. But here's my thing. That wouldn't work for me. And I'm sorry for these pauses. I'm trying to think before I speak. That would not work for me. Couldn't move forward with somebody like that. You know what I asked her? If he didn't support me. This dude makes a lot of money and he has a high net worth. So y'all comparing assets? You're married. It's supposed to be together. You're supposed to be building stuff together. Like I asked her, like, hey, are y'all gonna, invest in some properties together? Oh, no, we wouldn't get along. I don't get it. Y'all gotta tell me. That's probably why I don't have a relationship. I'm not married. I had one relationship where me and him were like thick as thieves, and I would have married him. But I'm a runner. I'm a track star. If it's not working, I'll leave. Even if I did get done dirty, it wasn't over a long period of time. I eventually dipped and went through my little sorrow, my little grief. But y'all, please tell me, because I need to know if my thoughts on life are different. Because I do have that fairy tale thought process, okay? Don't get me wrong. I do expect the fairy tale, but you guys, I mean, the bicker, I figured it was their foreplay. But I really think it's deeper than that, because I'm like, that's just their foreplay. Because she's a pretty intelligent girl. He's pretty intelligent. Strong backgrounds. And here's my thing. If money is all you can lead with, I don't want you anyway. Are you good in the bedroom? He must not be that, well, I don't know. How's the bedroom? You know what I said? What do you love about him? I asked her. He's dependable. I mean, is that the guy reason? Is she masculine? Y'all, I'm over it. I was like, you know what? Thank you, girl, because you motivated me to get my behind back on YouTube and record and talk about these life lessons. I'm learning too, because I'm open. I'm out here trying to date and get it together. And I gotta go anyway, because I'm about to shout out to gig workers. If y'all out here, content creators creating content, but I don't understand y'all's relationships. I could go on and on with relationships that I look at and I'm like, is the money? I could understand if this was a transaction. And it could be money with him. With her. The financial stability, but the thing she tells me and how he acts, y'all, one time, she had me on Bluetooth, and I guess she forgot to take me off. I don't know what happened, but he was cussing up a storm. Oh, you're on the effing phone, and da 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 da. I was afraid. I was like, do I need to call the police? I thought he was abused. You would think the way he was sounding, she was in an abusive relationship. Anyway, what do y'all think about these videos that I didn't watch, by the way? I just listen to like the first 10 seconds because I so wanted to get to my commentary. Look, I didn't want to hear it because I think it just made me mad. I didn't want to listen to it. Y'all tell me what in the comments, what were these videos talking about? Did they correlate with what I'm talking about? He don't like her. I don't think. But why? Men, why would y'all be with women y'all don't like? I know people that I love but do not like. That's not good. And then when you have kids, that's not good. Y'all, let me know. Anyway, I'm done. Let me get back to my DoorDash and Uber Eats. Sorry, y'all. Why am I saying sorry? Oh, all right, y'all. I'll check in. Bye.